Hey everybody, this is MC from Not Just Scrapbooks, and this is day 20 of the 31-day Marion Smith Challenge. And the reason that I will not have a finished project to show you today is because I worked all day on creating and doing the draw for the giveaway. So I uploaded that video a little while ago, and one of the things that I am going to share with you today is everything that you need in order to create a journal like the one that I did from scratch. And the look will be different because I've used up the paper that I had here, so it'll be different looking, but it'll be pretty much the same dimensions. It will also have an elastic band to allow you to close it, because I think that's important. I wanted it to look pretty when it goes on a shelf. So even though it's a bound with O-ring, I really wanted it not to look like one of those when I put it on the shelf. So also, you'll notice that there's acetate that we'll use between the different types of paper. So where I went to mixed media paper, I put acetate on either side to protect the sections that had pictures in it. So let's do what is required on the outside. You're going to need 4 pieces of chipboard. And if you think I'm talking quickly, it's because the last time I did this, it took over 18 minutes just to show you supplies. So ridiculous. So I'm trying to save some time here. You're going to need to cut 2 pieces of medium-sized chipboard, 8.5 by 10.25. That is the actual outside part. The inside cover requires, you have to have 2 of those because there's a front and back cover. And they will be 7 5/8 by 9 3/4. That's 7 5/8 by 9 3/4. We, as I said, are going to bind it with O-rings. So you're going to need O-rings. I think we use something like 19 of the teeth. You're going to need some sticky back canvas. That's what I used for the outside to cover the O-rings. And just for the record, it is extremely hard to create this kind of detail on it. I used, I believe, a Martha Stewart punch, but it may not be. It was green. Anyway, the punch that I used was the only one that actually worked. I tried, those decorative scissors, and they got stuck on the canvas. It was terrible, actually. I had a really hard time with it. So my suggestion is, if you don't have anything that you can use, don't worry about it. You can always use something like lace to cover or even leave it like that. It's probably really pretty. But I, in my first one, did use the decorative punch. And I guess maybe because it got gluey or something, it got worse. Anyway. For the inside of the spine, like part of it is going to go on the book, but part of it you don't want to have stick. So you will need to cut a piece of cardstock that matches your cover, and that is cut at 10.25 by 3. 10.25 by 3. And you're probably saying, well, what size am I cutting my adhesive I've got a memory. I can't remember what the name of this is, and I just said it. Canvas, sorry. What size am I going to cut? This one is the final result is like 4 1/8. So it was probably about 4.5 when I started. Right now it is still at its full 12-inch length, and the reason for that is that you learn by your mistakes, or you learn by trying. And one of the things that I noticed about my canvas is that it does shrink. Once it was on the book, it actually shrank. And so this time I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stain it and let it dry. And I don't know. I think I'm going to stain it, put it on, leave extra room on either side, and then trim it when I'm done. And to stain it, This time I'm going to use peel paint. I used Distress paint stain for the other book too, but this time I think I'm going to use peel paint. You're going to need 4 sheets of pattern paper. I did mention the last time that it seemed to be much easier to cover the chipboard using a single-sided paper that was a little lighter weight, as long as it was quality. I had used a Prima sheet that I got at Hobby Lobby. But in this case, I really wanted to use this paper, and not because, well, I am in love with the paper, I think it's gorgeous, but also it matches a bunch of the cardstock, 8.5 by 11 cardstock that I had, and I didn't want to go out and buy more cardstock, and I didn't want to cut it down 12 by 12 when I had perfectly good 8.5 by 11. So I'm using the Kaisercraft These Days collection, and one of the papers is called Generation, and the other one is called Reunion. And I'm going to use Generation on the outside, and I'm going to use Reunion on the inside covers. You're going to need the elastic if you decide that you want to create the closure for your book, and it's a decision you have to make ahead of time because it gets put between the 2 covers on the back. And like I said, I'm going to use this, and I did not know whether I would use pink or green as the stain, and I was a little afraid that if I used the pink it would get dirtier faster if it was manipulated, and the green will work quite well too, but I'm still on the fence about that, so we may find that I use the pink eventually. The elastic is 3/4 wide, and you're going to need about 14.5 inches of it. It's kind of a loose elastic. It's easy to stretch, which makes it easier on the binding of the book. So that's what you're going to need. And I think that's it for the outside. Just for a second, let's shift gears and let's do tools. I already told you you're going to need something like the cinch or the bind it all, though you can do everything except close the wires using a crocodile. And that's what I'm going to use this time. And the reason is that my book is based on this size, because I wanted to have this mixed media type of paper in my album, in my journal. And so this is Canson XL paper. It's 98 pound width, 98 pound weight paper. It says here that it's 7.5 by 10 inches, but when they say that, they're talking about the part after the perforation. The perforated part is 3/4 of an inch. And since we're putting it into the O-rings using this perforated part, all our pages are actually going to be 7 3/4 by 10. Just for the record, I got this at Hobby Lobby for $8.99, and so with a 40% off coupon, it's quite a bit less than that, like, I don't know, 5 something. Okay, for the inside, let me get this out of the way for now. For the inside, we're going to use the Canson paper, which already has the holes in it, and those holes are going to become our template. I have 26 pieces of what started off as 8.5 by 11 cardstock here in colors that kind of work with this book, and frankly that work well enough to put in there, and that mean that I can get rid of things in my stash. And both the chipboard, and I decided I was going to put some, I want to do some ink coloring in there, so I am also going to put some of the alcohol and marker paper. So both of these are going to be cut down to the same size as is already the paper from Canson, and that is it's going to be 10 by 7 3/4. And yeah, your paper is going to be like this in the book, but I wanted to be able to write all this stuff and use this lined paper. So here, maybe you can see everything this way. So again, it is 7 3/4 by 10. So you can go ahead and cut all your cardstock at that size, as well as if you decide to do like me and put alcohol ink paper, you can put it in there. And acetate, like I mentioned, I use acetate. So I need at least 4 pieces of acetate, one to put before the alcohol ink paper and one after, and one before and after the mixed media paper. And the acetate is cut down to 7 7/8 by 10 1/8. And the reason for that is that I decided that it would protect just a little bit better the cardstock that is on either side of it. Well, on one side of it. Okay, adhesives. I will be using Mod Podge, the hard coat. And I really like that stuff. If you've watched one of my previous videos, you already know that. I think it's great alternative to using Claudine Helmuth Multimatte, but you can use, this will work too. Again, this is a Ranger product. And I am also going to be using a liquid adhesive to adhere the paper to the chipboard in a more general way, and I'm using Quick Dry by Scotch. Why is there a stick pin there? Because unlike some people, I mean, Anne, who does those beautiful projects, Zanero 1, uses this, as do a whole lot of other people, and for some odd reason, theirs never seems to get clogged. I don't know if it's the atmosphere, like if it's too dry or too, it's not too hot most of the time, but too dry in my room. But my adhesive always seems to get clogged up, and yet this is one of the best adhesives on the market, so I still want to use it, but every so often I have to put a stick pin in there and open it up again. I'm going to use some of this more than likely, just a tape runner. And you're going to need a little paintbrush if you're going to put the Mod Podge, because it's quite a bit of surface to use it on. Last but not least for this video, you will notice that the holes in this paper are circular. As I said before, I did not use my Bind It All this time to do the holes in the paper, and the reason is that I wanted to be sure this time that they match perfectly. And so this way my holes will match, and I'm pretty sure that putting my old wires in here will not be a problem either. So we'll see what happens. If not, I will let you know, but I thought that by putting my other paper underneath a few sheets of this one, I can use this as a guide to punch my paper out. And of course, you guys all know how to do that. You just use a couple of pieces of paper. You take a look at the side of your Crop-A-Dile. We're using the fatter part of it, this one, and you can see it coming up, so you can always put your papers together. And one of the things that I didn't bring over but I did use was you know, those clamps that you can use to close chips or something. They are great for a number of reasons, but you can put those clips on either side. They won't damage the paper. They'll keep it in place while you're trying to figure out where you're going to put your hole. And really what you're doing is you're putting it like this so you can see where that is coming out. And I'm trying to do it so that you can see, but not that easy because the camera gets in the way. But once you see it come out, as you do there, you just feel for the hole, you make sure you're in the hole, and then you go ahead and cut it. I wonder if you can see that. Oh, maybe you can. Thank you, camera. So that's it for tonight. I hope that you can get all your stuff together and that we can have some fun creating the journal in the next few days. I just have to find the time to do the tutorial and upload it. So thanks for watching. Good night.